Most schools and universities currently have classes online. I've had the privilege to work with both teachers and students to help them use Microsoft Teams. This video is going to be a bit different from what we've done so far on this channel because today's video is a case study / tutorial and introduction to Microsoft Teams. Hey guys, it's Robsy back with Paperless X, a channel that is all about digital productivity. If you're new to my channel, hello. Make sure you subscribe if you're looking for solutions to go paperless with your work, business, or studies. And if you're already subscribed, make sure you turn on your notifications so you know each time I release a new video. Today's video is going to cover the following: explaining what Microsoft Teams is, running a class from Microsoft Teams and what that looks like, creating assignments and why it's best to integrate Microsoft Teams with OneNote. I worked with a grade 7 teacher to find the best way to have online classes with her 12-year-olds who are not yet paperless but had to start having online classes because of the COVID-19 lockdown. So she had a few concerns. The first one, handwriting is a big part of learning for primary school children. We needed a system that would allow them to handwrite their homework and classwork. Her second concern was that she's not very techy, so she needed a setup that she could learn very quickly in the shortest time possible. She's using an iPad and a laptop, a Windows PC for her classes. Teams is a collaboration application that allows members of a company or school to work remotely. The application will enable you to have meetings online, collaborate on different types of documents, and keep track of those projects. Unless your company or school's admin allows it, we can't work with people from other organizations. That is someone with a different domain email from yours. And if your admin does allow it, then the organization you want to collaborate with must be using Teams as well. This is a limitation with Teams and it's quite unpleasant, especially if you work with a lot of different organizations. And I hope that Teams can find a way around this because not everyone is going to use their platform and it really limits what you can do if you're only limited to working with people within that application. Hopefully in the future they can expand this to allow collaborations with people that don't actually use the Teams application. All your work in Teams will start with creating or joining a team. Because this account is a school account and it's an education account, I can create a team for a class, a professional learning community, for staff members and other extracurricular activities. For this demonstration, I'll create a class and I'll call it demo class. You can add a description if you want, so you know what that class is about or what that team is about. Because this account already has some teams, I can easily copy one of these as a template. If I'm creating a team similar to one that I already have in the application, I can just copy that. After you've created your team, you can add your students. The school's IT admin creates accounts for students and teachers. It's just a matter of adding a few letters and you can then add your students to your class. You can add students and teachers. Our team is ready with a general channel. So for our setup for the grade 7E class, we decided to make our channels to represent different subjects. So we created English, Maths, RME, and Social Studies because those are the subjects that our teacher is going to be teaching our class. Each team you create comes with a general channel, and this channel is very important because it contains 3 essential tabs which you will not find in any other channel. So you get a class notebook, you get assignments, and you also get grades. These 3 tabs you will not have in your other channels that you create. So this is why the general channel is very important. And all your work, assignments, and marking of your students' work is going to happen in your general channel. So to create a channel, you go to Teams and add a channel. You can then name that channel, describe it, and make it accessible to everyone or to specific people in that class. Then tick this box to make the channel automatically show in everyone else's channel list. So you want all your students to have the same channels on their end. And if you notice, this channel doesn't have those 3 tabs that I just mentioned. This is why you need your general channel. There are a lot of ways to go about this, but we try to find the easiest, simplest way to do this. After you watch this video, hopefully you can start having a better workflow with your work and your students. You can create as many channels as you want, which would be as many subjects as you need. I imagine the setup would be very different for a high school history teacher, for example, because the subject would be the same, but the classes would have different people. And so the setup will be a bit different, but it's about the same. If you have an interesting setup for your work or for your class and you don't mind sharing it with the Paperless X community, please contact me on social media to feature on the channel as a case study like we have today. And if you're struggling with coming up with a functional setup for your work, need some consultation on that, make sure you check out our Patreon page for our consultation fees, and we can help you set up your work, get you started in the most painless possible way. In your Teams channel, you can start conversations with your students. You can create announcements where you mention specific people. You get basic editing tools for your conversations to make things pop out of the page. And you can decide who can reply to your announcements or to your conversations, and also what channel this announcement or this information should be added to. You can add attachments to them from Teams, OneDrive, or you can upload one from your computer. You can add attachments, GIFs, and stickers. And you can create polls using forms. Each member of the team has one vote, and you get the poll results right underneath the poll itself. So for example, we did a poll to find out how the students were finding this whole setup, and the poll was quite useful because it gives you a feedback in real time as people vote. You can upload files for your students under the Files tab. The files that you add to the class material folder cannot be edited by the students. This is really important because it allows you to share information that students cannot edit or change. So that would be your syllabus, your notes, reference notes that you want your students to have. You can also create folders and limit their capabilities, read-only folders through SharePoint in other channels. I find it is much easier and much simpler to have everything in class material, and then you can create folders within that read-only folder. From the word go, and when you start using Teams, it is very, very important that you get organized right from the start. You need to figure out what you want to do and how you're going to do it, because things get really messy very quickly. You can schedule meetings with your class if you already have your timetable. In our example, our teacher decided to schedule her classes for the whole term, and she can also get to see her students' other classes. So under calendar, she can see that they have music lessons on Monday at 12, and they have another class, an art class, on Friday at 2 p.m. This just helps to give her a rough idea of when students are available or when students are supposed to be in classes. Let's create a schedule to see what options you get when you're creating your schedule. You can choose your time zone here at the top if it's not automatically chosen for you, which it probably will be. And you can add a title for your meeting. You can add the required attendees. These are the students that are supposed to attend your classes. This we found quite cumbersome because we had to add each student one by one. And I wish that the Microsoft Teams could offer an option to just add whole teams or sub-teams. Adding each student one by one is a lot of work. Let's hope that there will be options to add just a whole class because everyone is supposed to come. You can also add optional attendees. These don't have to be present, unlike the required ones. If you want another teacher to sit in for observation purposes, this can be quite handy. You can then pick the date for your meeting, the time it starts, and also the end date and time when your meeting ends. You can set the meeting to repeat every weekday, every day, weekly, whichever you choose, and you can even customize this if you wanted to. You can choose the team and the channel to post your schedule to. and you can add location if that's necessary. This is sort of remote work, so I don't really see why location is important, but they have the option. Then you can detail the outline of the meeting. This is especially useful if you want people to bring something specific for a meeting. For example, if it's an art class, you could ask everyone to bring pencils or crayons or something like that. So you want to make sure everyone knows what they're supposed to be bringing for that class or for that meeting. Just add it to the meeting's details. Once you are satisfied with the details of your meeting, you can then send out the schedule to all the attendees. This gets added to your calendar and to their calendar as well. You can cancel the meeting or the whole series of the meeting if it was repeating. And on the right side, you can see everyone in the meeting. As the teacher, you are the organizer of this meeting. Schedule Assistant allows you to edit your meeting, so you can see your Teams calendar. You get to see all the students in your class, and you see when they are free, which is available, when they're supposed to be in class, tentative, and when they're actually in a class. You can view your work hours on your calendar, and this will help you see when you're free. If you're going to be using Teams, especially if you're a teacher and everything you're going to be doing is going to involve scheduling meetings and you work with a timetable, Teams can actually work as a planning application as well for you, and it can help you stay organized and know what you need to do and when you need to be doing it. You don't have to schedule every meeting. You can just start a meeting right away, right now, using the Meet Now button. Unfortunately, this is not the most efficient way to start a meeting because then you have to invite everyone to join the meeting. So you do not want to be adding people, inviting people to your meetings all the time. This is why we decided to schedule our teachers' meetings for the whole term so that she doesn't have to keep on adding and inviting people to her meetings. If her meetings change, she just has to edit the meeting information a little bit and she doesn't have to do everything from scratch. Let's run a meeting in Teams to see what that looks like. As the teacher, you are the one presenting, so you are the presenter. For this particular meeting, our teacher decided to make all the students presenters. You can keep track of how long the meeting has been running. You can turn off your camera and you can mute yourself, and everyone in the meeting has those options. You can choose to share your screen. This is where all the magic happens. When you're presenting, your students will get to see everything that you're doing on your screen, and this is much better done on an iPad. Our teacher has an iPad Air 2. She doesn't have any stylus to write on the screen with, and so the best application that I recommended to use for her classes was Apple Notes. It's a very simple, straightforward application, and since she doesn't have a stylus, she's just using her finger and it works just fine. If you have an iPad that supports the Apple Pencil, you will enjoy teaching this way. The beauty with this setup is that you can use any application of your choice. GoodNotes, Notability. The reason why we love the setup, students don't have access to the board, which is her screen, to make any changes to it. Grade 7 students are very excited and they would really want to be writing and messing around with the board, and that would be difficult to control. Another option that you have in Teams is to use a whiteboard. Everyone in the meeting can write on it, and this can be quite difficult to control if everyone is trying to write and add their little contribution to the whiteboard. Whiteboard will allow everyone to contribute. You can ask students to write answers here and to explain things, but we didn't really like the collaboration feature in Teams, and we found OneNote to be better, and so we'll be going through collaborations in OneNote a bit later. You can show background effects if you have a distracting background. If you've got a lot of things happening behind you and you don't want your students to focus on that, you can choose a background from these options. They're quite exciting. Personally, I love the empty room one because I am an obsessive minimalist. The emptier the room for me, the better. But you can really try out a number of exciting options. You can record every meeting that you have. If you want your students to have access to it a bit later, for those students that are not able to attend your classes, then you can do this and your students can access this from Microsoft Stream. I noticed that the students are also able to record the meetings. I'm not really sure if this is supposed to be the case or if there's something wrong with the accounts for this particular school. The students and teachers have exactly the same account, which means both students and teachers have the same capabilities. If Microsoft Teams is giving students and teachers the same account and the same capabilities, there is something seriously wrong with that setup. Your students can raise their hands during a meeting, which I find super cute. I like it. You can also raise your hand in meetings when you're having staff meetings, for example, and you want to say something. You can see everyone who's present in your meeting. The best way to create assignments for your students is through the class notebook and OneNote. We wanted a system that would collect all the work the students do in one place where they can go back to look at the work again for revision. We also wanted a system that would allow the teacher to mark her students' work on her iPad and send the work back to the students, be able to record their marks and keep a record of those marks automatically without her manually having to do it. So this is why we decided to have a Microsoft Teams link. And the first step to achieving this is to connect Teams to OneNote, and then connect OneNote to Teams. The connection is a two-way system. If you're going to successfully create notes in OneNote and keep the marks in Teams, you have to do the connection in both applications. The class notebook in Teams is half the OneNote application. It doesn't have all the functions, it has a lot of limitations, and it's a bit glitchy actually. It actually doesn't work half the time. We really needed to connect the two for them to work together. Here's the grade 7 E-class notebook. It has a collaboration space. If you ever wanted students to work out something during class, everyone can write in this space. And everyone can see the changes made in the collaboration space in real time. So you can see that while one of our students was trying to work out this mathematics problem, someone else was in the mood for painting. Some of the students even posted their homework here. This was when they were trying to figure out how to submit their work. In the collaboration space, it tells you who made the changes you are seeing. If you have anyone who's edited a photo or someone who's typed something, it will have initials for the person. You just tap on it and see who made those changes. Unfortunately, if you ink or draw some changes in the collaboration space, the app has no way of identifying that. It will be quite useful if the application could tell us that, because we need to know who made this lovely painting. The next part of your notebook is the content library. And this is where you as a teacher, you get to create and distribute homework and classwork to your students. Students cannot edit this section. It's strictly read only for them. We decided to divide our content library into the same sections we have in Teams for our classes. So we have the same English, Math, RME, and Social Studies. Consistency will save you a lot of headaches later. We tried to get a bit more organized by creating pages and sub-pages, but our teacher, that was too complicated for her. But if you know how to use OneNote, if you've watched my videos on OneNote, you will know exactly how to navigate through the application and you can organize your work a lot better. The last thing you get in your notebook are your students' notebooks. So only you and the student have access to each student's notebook. Each student has the same sections as the ones we have in Content Library. And this is really important for when you're creating your assignments a bit later. Each student receives their homework in their notebook and they do the homework, submit it back to the teacher. Let's go through the process of creating assignments for your students. You can create an assignment in OneNote or in Teams. And for both approaches, the first thing you need to do is to create the assignment in OneNote. Our teacher created this assignment here for her students with all the details. Now to create the assignment in OneNote, go to Create Assignment. Usually the title of the page becomes the title of the assignment, and if you want to change it, you can change it however you like. You can add your description. If you have any details you want your students to be aware of, you can add it here. Add your due date and due time, and choose to lock page after due date. Some of our students haven't quite got this yet, so at the moment we're not locking anything. You can determine the number of points your assignment is worth and choose a section to add the homework. And then create. I'm not going to create an assignment right now just in case I confuse everyone. This is actually an active account, but when you create an assignment, you will receive a notification telling you the assignment has been created, and you get a notification from Teams as well telling you just added a new assignment. What we then do is go to Teams to edit the assignment a bit more, because there are some features you don't get in OneNote that you get in Teams. We also tag the assignment by adding category, homework, classwork, comprehension. This will just help students to identify the work right away. In your assignment, this is the OneNote page that has been attached to this assignment. In Teams, you can create assignments from scratch, and the first two options are not very ideal for this group of students. It's very difficult for them to keep track of their work, and it relies on each and every one of them knowing how to organize their own work individually. We just wanted to do that for them because at this point, they're not responsible for organizing their work. The teacher is responsible for that. You can add title, instructions, and add resources to your assignment. Our resource is OneNote because that is where we created our assignment. Remember the assignment that I said you create your assignment in OneNote? So that is the assignment you will attach here. And all the content that you create as a teacher should be under content library. These are the sections under the content library. So you need to remember where you created the assignment. I'll choose English, and these are all the pages, and you'll need to find the one you want to assign. As you can see from this, it's really important you label your pages systematically. I suggested our teacher used dates because dates are so much easier to organize and to find. Your most recently created assignment would be at the top. You can then attach the page to the assignment, and once you've attached the page to the assignment, you have to choose which section in your students' notebooks you want the assignment added to. This is the reason why you and your students need to have the same sections. So if this is an English assignment, it needs to go to students' English sections in their notebooks. You can choose who you want to assign this assignment to, which team you want to assign to, which is quite useful. I'm happy that I don't have to enter each individual student if I'm assigning this to a whole class. But in case you're not giving it to a whole class, you can add individual students. Again, you can set your due date and time. You can schedule the assignment to be posted in the future. And this is an option you don't have in Microsoft OneNote. And whether or not you want to close the assignment after due date. If you close it, obviously students can't hand in their work late. And when you're satisfied with your assignment details, assign it, and each student will receive a copy of this assignment in their OneNote notebook. On this page, you can see all the assignments that you've given out. Drafts are the assignments that you've not assigned yet, that you've not sent out. Currently assigned assignments are active ones, which are the ones that you've already sent out to students. You can see how many students have handed in, how many of those assignments you have reviewed. Reviewed assignments are assignments that you've marked and sent back. Notice how our tags look. They're right there in your face, popping out and very easy to see. I hope you guys liked this video. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Let me know what you guys think about Microsoft Teams in the comment section down below. What other softwares do you guys think we should try out? Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.